Imagine a world where diverse cultures intersect, where people from different backgrounds come together, sharing their beliefs, customs, and languages. In such a globalized society, the study of acculturation models become more crucial than ever. It's a journey through the human experience, a quest to understand how we adapt, change, and preserve our identities in the face of cultural encounters. But why should you be excited about acculturation models? Acculturation models are the keys to unlocking the secrets of successful integration, the path to harmonious coexistence in a world where cultures converge and collide. They help us make sense of the complexities that underlie multiculturalism, offering insights into the challenges faced by individuals and communities when they navigate the intricate balance between their original culture and the new one they encounter. Let us define first acculturation. According to Wordy 2020, it is the process of social, psychological, and cultural change that occurs as a result of blending between cultures. While another article that says acculturation is the process of two cultures coming into contact with each other and impacting each other's language, behavior, and beliefs. But for Schumann in 1986, acculturation is the social and psychological integration of the learner with the target language group. And what does really acculturation model is all about? Acculturation model illustrates language migration between cultures, often through second language acquisition, where the new language is not the home language. It explains the process of assimilation from belonging to a distinct home culture, merging cultures, feeling part of both, and eventually identifying more with the secondary culture. Now that we already know about the acculturation model, let us explore more about the founder or the one who proposed this theory, no other than John H. Schumann. Schumann was born on May 23, 1943, one of the founding members of the field of second language acquisition. He served in the Peace Corps, first as a volunteer English teacher and later as director of their TESL program in Iran. Schumann's UCLA research focused on the Indigenization hypothesis, suggesting that limited proficiency in a second language is due to psychological distance from its speakers. This hypothesis was extended to encompass both affective and social factors, leading to the development of a acculturation model. Professor Emeritus of Applied Linguistics, and he is a former chair of the Department of Applied Linguistics and TESL at UCLA. While, in terms of his educational background, John Schumann earned his Doctor of Education degree from the prestigious Harvard University Graduate School of Education. His educational journey began with a Bachelor of Arts degree from Fordham University. Schumann developed this theory to explain how learners' attitudes and motivations toward the target language and its culture can impact their language acquisition. It's important to note that Schumann's acculturation theory primarily focuses on adult second language acquisition and its connection to social and psychological factors. Now, now, let's talk about Schumann's acculturation hypothesis, therefore, which focuses on two main variables that account for differences in the way language learners approach and acquire language: the social factors and psychological factors. They differ in that social variables account for the degree of social distance an L2 learner has to the target language, whereas the psychological variables are concerned with an individual's response to the condition they find themselves in their language learning. Schumann and other theorists describe social distance as an individual's position or perceived position in relation to the target language group and the extent to which they become part of that target language group. Let's now talk about the taxonomy of factors, the social distance factors. First, dominance and subordination. In a social or group context, dominance refers to the position or power held by one group over another, often involving authority, control, or influence. Subordination is the opposite, indicating the state of being under the authority or influence of another group. Second, integration pattern. Integration patterns refers to the way in which different cultural or social groups interact, combine, or merge. It can include processes of assimilation, integration, separation, or marginalization, depending on how groups and individuals from different backgrounds come together. Third, degree of enclosure of both groups. These terms relate to the extent to which two distinct groups remain isolated from each other or have limited interaction. High enclosure implies limited contact, while low enclosure indicates more often and frequent interactions. Fourth, the degree of cohesiveness of second language learning group. Cohesiveness in a second language learning group refers to the unity, togetherness, and solidarity among its members. A highly cohesive group is more likely to support and help each other in language learning. Fifth, size of second language learning group. This refers to the number of individuals in a group or class that is learning a second language. The size of the group can influence the dynamics, interactions, and the effectiveness of language learning. 6. Degree of congruence of the two cultures. This term refers to the level of similarity, compatibility, or alignment between the cultures of the two groups. A high degree of congruence suggests that the cultures have many similarities, while a low degree indicates significant differences. And lastly, 7. Intergroup attitudinal evaluations. This concept involves assessing and understanding the attitudes and perceptions that members of one group hold about the other group. These evaluations can affect interactions, relationships, and collaborations between the groups. The second variables is affective or psychological distant factors, wherein these are the factors that affects learners in learning the language. First, language shock. For example, imagine you travel to a foreign country where you don't speak the local language. Upon arriving at the airport, you struggle to communicate with taxi drivers and you are overwhelmed by the language barrier, leading to language shock. Second, culture shock. The feeling of disorientation, confusion, and discomfort that can arise when individuals are exposed to a new and unfamiliar culture. For example, an international student studying abroad in a culture very different from their own might experience culture shock when they find it challenging to adapt to local customs, food, and social norms. Third is the culture stress. It is a term sometimes used interchangeably with culture shock. It describes the psychological and emotional stress that can result from the challenges of adapting to a new culture. For example, a family that relocates to a different country may face culture stress as they try to navigate the complexities of daily life, such as school systems, healthcare, and bureaucratic processes. Fourth is the motivation. Motivation is the internal or external drive that initiates, guides, and sustains our behavior. For example, a newcomer from South Korea is highly motivated to succeed in the United States. They enroll in language courses, attend cultural events, and network, all driven by their determination. Their motivation leads to language proficiency and career success in their new home. And lastly, ego permeability. It refers to an individual's ability to adapt and adjust their self-concept, beliefs, and values when exposed to new information, experiences, or challenges. For example, in a multicultural workplace, an employee with high ego permeability is more adaptable and willing to learn from colleagues of diverse backgrounds, allowing for better collaboration and understanding. SLA and acculturation types. Brown 1980 postulates the process of acculturation in the target language natural environment consists of 4 stages. First, euphoria. The learners get excited over the newness of the surroundings. Second, culture shock emerges as individuals feel the intrusion of more and more culture differences into their own images of self and security. Third, cultural stress and gradual recovery. Some problems of the acculturation are solved, while others continue for some time. The learner starts to understand the differences in thinking. The learner's problems center around the question of identity. She or he does not perceive herself or himself as belonging to any culture. And fourth, full recovery. The adaptation, assimilation, or acceptance of the new culture, a new identity is developed. Now let's study about John Berry proposed model. He proposed a model of acculturation that categorizes individual adaptation strategies along two dimensions. The first dimension concerns the retention or rejection of an individual's native culture. For example, is it considered to be of value to maintain one's identity and characteristics? The second dimension concerns the adaptation or rejection of the host culture. Is it considered to be of value to maintain relationships with the larger society? From these two questions, four acculturation strategies emerge. First, assimilation occurs when individuals adopt the cultural norms of a dominant or host culture over their original culture. Second, separation. It occurs when individuals reject the dominant or host culture in favor of preserving their culture of origin. Separation is often facilitated by immigration to ethnic enclaves. Third, integration occurs when individuals are able to adapt the cultural norms of the dominant or host culture while maintaining their culture of origin. Integration leads to and is often synonymous with biculturalism. And the last one, marginalization. It occurs when individuals reject both their culture of origin and the dominant host culture. Acculturation and motivation. Gardner's work on integrative and instrumental motivation is crucial for the acculturation model, which emphasizes the learner's need to interact with the target language and culture to reduce social distance. Berry furthered this idea with a model of acculturation attitudes, including integration, assimilation, separation, and marginalization. These are the contextual support for the acculturation model. According to Liebeck 2002, supported Schumann's acculturation theory using the operable social exchange networks model, demonstrating that English native speakers who develop positive connections with native Norwegians had more native-like Norwegian pronunciation. While Hans in 1995 found that acculturation correlated with native-like phonation among successful older arrival-age German-born American immigrants. However, the optimal acculturation strategy varies based on L2 acquisition context and learning circumstances. And what are the limitations of the acculturation model? While some studies supported the acculturation model in second language acquisition, it faced criticism as well. Dash argued that cultural factors are not always identifiable and individuals can succeed in SLA regardless of social conditions. Individual differences like learning style and affective state may be more significant in SLA. Additionally, the model doesn't explain the internal processes of language acquisition, developmental sequences, or the role of instruction. Social factors are seen as having a direct impact on SLA, but they likely have an indirect one. The model doesn't address how social factors affect the quality of contact learners' experience. Furthermore, it criticized for being limited to language learning under immigration conditions and not accounting for all variables influencing SLA. Measuring acculturation and social distance is complex, and the model does not consider individual differences in learning outcomes. To conclude, while the acculturation model has faced challenges, it also offers valuable insights for language learning because it can aid in designing research, understanding individual learning patterns, and promoting cultural tolerance and appreciation. Successful L2 teaching involves considering social realities. Integrating cultural instruction is crucial for instructors, syllabus designers, and policymakers. A context-sensitive approach can enhance L2 learner willingness and motivation. Language instruction should not replace naturalistic context for cultural literacy. While cultural approximation does not guarantee SLA development, including cultural elements in L2 programs can yield significant benefits with careful context of sensitivity. And before I end this discussion, I would like to share with you Romans 12 verse 2. It says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." So this verse encourages believers not to simply conform to the culture of the world, but to be transformed by renewing their minds, suggesting that there is a distinction between the culture of the world and the will of God. So as we learn language from this world, we may also encounter factors that affects us in learning. But just as this verse says that we must not conform to the pattern of this world, but rather be transformed by the renewing of your mind according to the will of God.